video, we are going to organize this. I was so overwhelmed about where my craft room was as far as how disorganized it was, my closet. I just shoved a bunch of random stuff in there that I actually hired a professional. And my friend Michaela is a professional organizer, so she came over and she helps me organize the entire craft room. So in today's video, I will be sharing with you the tips that she shared with me as we were going through and organizing everything. So if you want to clean your craft space as well and make it really aesthetic, but also really functional, then today's video is for you. My friend Michaela runs her own business. It's called Neatfully, and I will link them down below if you want to go check out her business. She's so great, and she was seriously so helpful. Hey makers, welcome back to my channel. My name is Camryn and I run a crochet boutique called Camryn's Cute Creations. Here on YouTube, I love making videos for you, a fellow crochet business owner. Not only help you get organized, but I love helping you make more money selling at craft shows. In today's video, we gotta make sure our space is functional. If you're anything like me, I like making it pretty and aesthetic, and there's a balance there where I wanna make it pretty but also functional so I can get more done in less time while prepping for my shows. It's really hard for me as a perfectionist to be a creative. It's this weird balance where I'm always wanting to create things and it gets messy and I've got projects everywhere. And then my perfectionist tendencies come in and I'm like, oh my gosh, it is such a mess. Nothing is where it needs to be and it's completely overwhelming. Maybe you relate to this where you want it to be clean, but you're also a creative and it just feels like it's this never-ending cycle, right? My hope is in today's video, we not only get clean and get organized, but we set up a system where it's easier to keep clean long-term, it's sustainable, and we won't have to stress about purging and cleaning like all at once like we are doing in today's video. I feel like I have like 5 videos like this one where I clean my entire craft room. But hey, I want to make it functional so that I can keep it clean and I don't have to go through and do like major overall cleaning every other month. I love this quote from Benjamin Franklin: "For every minute spent organizing, an hour is earned." And it's so true. It's time right now that we're having to spend organizing, cleaning it all up. But if we can get it really efficient and really organized and something that we can keep up with, it's going to help us make more better quality products for our business so that we can grow our business and make more money doing what we love. So let's jump in to tip number 1. Oh, and by the way, I also have a bonus tip at the end of today's video, so be sure to watch to the end. Tip number 1 is focus on one section at a time. Oh my goodness. As soon as Michaela came over to help me, I was kind of showing her around the room. I'm like, oh, over here I want to do this beautiful yarn ball. Okay, over here is kind of my office setup. Oh, and over here my closet, da-da-da. And I'm like explaining all the things I want to do. And she looked at me and she was like, let's start with one thing. She's like, let's just start with one thing. And it sounds so simple, but I think so many times we look at a room, at the space as a whole, and us as creatives, we're like envisioning what we want it to look like. But sometimes that keeps us from making decisions or moving forward and taking action on actually cleaning, which I think is what was happening to me for a while. And I was glad Michaela came in. She said, you know what? We have other days we can work on this together. Let's focus on one thing today, see how far we get, and then we can start tackling some of these other projects either today if we have time or another day. So I just want to share that tip with you if you're like an all-in or all-out person like me, where I'm like, the whole room must be clean or I'm not even gonna touch it. She really opened my eyes to let's focus on one space at a time. So what I want you to do is create a list of all the spaces that you want to clean as far as your craft area goes, whether it's a room, whether it's a desk. I started my crochet business. I was a broke college student. I was living in a studio apartment and I had a table with all of my craft stuff on it, and it wasn't organized then either. But whatever it is, if you can group it into different things. For me, I have sewing supplies, I have Cricut supplies. These are kind of more of my hobby crafts. And then of course I have all of my crochet stuff and all of the yarn. So if you can start sectioning off what is most organized right now to least organized and kind of get an idea of where you want to get started. For me, I like to tackle that thing that is overwhelming me the most right off the bat. For me, in this time cleaning my craft room, it was my closet. It was horrible. It was a lot and it was overwhelming me and I kept shoving stuff in there. It was kind of one of those things where it's like, oh, this doesn't look pretty out in the main room. Let's shove it in the closet. And then the closet got super bad and it's like overflowing. So that is what I decided to do, but it really depends on you and your personality. If you want to do something easy just to get started, get in the zone of cleaning, start with the thing that's most organized and just kind of give it a retouch. But for me, I just had to tackle that thing that was overwhelming me the most, and it gave me the momentum to work on the other areas of my craft room. Oh, and by the way, if you want to see a finished full-on tour of what my craft room looks like now with like everything and all the drawers and just like pretty much everything that's going on in here, definitely comment down below, say craft room tour, please, and I will definitely work on a video like that next. Tip number 2 is to utilize either clear bins or label your bins. Okay, so Michaela and I went on a little shopping spree. We went to Target, which was not good because Michaela and I are friends, okay? So when we were at Target, we were looking at not just the organization stuff, we were looking at everything in all the aisles. But anyways, we got a little distracted. What Michaela really thought would be really helpful for me in my closet is clear acrylic bins to put in my cubbies with lids. She said, having them be clear is really important because you'll be able to see what's inside. And then having lids is really important because you can stack. She loves stackable things, which, I mean, I do too. What I was using before wasn't clear, it wasn't labeled, and it was not stackable. And I was actually not utilizing the most out of my space. There was a lot in my cubbies that I could have added more, but the bins I was using weren't stackable, so I wasn't able to. But as we were shopping, we were measuring the acrylic bins that were clear, and actually none of them were gonna fit my size of cubby. We were at Target, by the way. We only went to Target, so we kind of had to adapt, and I ended up getting these white containers instead because I actually didn't really want to go the clear bin route, and I was telling her that because I really like things being really clean and really aesthetic. So I felt like if there was clear bins and I saw everything that was in all of them all the time, it would stress me out, and I would rather just have them organized within those bins. But what she let me know is I definitely need to add labels to those if I was doing the white bins, which actually ended up working out best because they fit, oh my gosh, they fit perfectly in my cubbies. Oh, that's the best feeling when something fits perfectly like that. So those fit perfectly in there. Then I actually ended up going to the dollar store, and I've already used a lot of these. I got 3 sheets of these they're blackboard stickers actually, and these work amazing. I was so impressed. $1, well, it's $1.25 now, but anyways, I got 3 of these, and I'm gonna go back and get more because I've been adding these labels to everything in my craft room because again, I'm not using the clear containers, and I want to be able to know what is in what, because before we added the labels and we were actually going through and organizing, it was super annoying because I forgot where I put each thing, and now that I have the labels, it is so nice. So check out your local Dollar Tree and see if they have these. It was really helpful. And you know, like blackboards can be kind of hit or miss because sometimes when you try to wipe them off, they don't wipe off all the way. These wipe off so well, which I'm so impressed with. So anyways, definitely check out your Dollar Tree. And then I like to use chalk markers and chalk pens instead of just like a stick of chalk because those are gonna last way longer on there. I really wanted to use something that I could wipe away and relabel. Of course, if it's something that you want to keep the same label on all the time, you never want to change it, you can also use a Cricut or print custom branded, labels on everything. That's what I was originally gonna do, but this makes a lot more sense to me because sometimes I'm changing out what materials I have in different baskets, and it just makes more sense for me in my business to just have something like this. And it was very affordable, so I love that as well. So as far as you doing your craft space, if you can get clear acrylic bins that are stackable, that is what Michaela suggested the most. But if you're anything like me and you want it to be super aesthetic and super pretty, then you can get plain white ones or plain black ones, maybe even your brand's colors. That can be really fun. And then grab something that you can label all of those with. That's gonna be really important so that you actually know where everything is, because for some reason I thought I would be able to remember, and no, it's not happening. I need the labels. Before we move on to the next tip, I just want to take a second to thank the sponsor of today's video, which is Skillshare. As you can tell by the topic of today's video, I'm in a spring cleaning zone. I really want to get organized and get everything refreshed for this summer so I can actually enjoy crocheting and hanging out and doing all the things this summer and not feel like an total overwhelmed mess like I have been recently. I took this Skillshare class called Creative Space, Organize Your Studio or Workspace and Unlock Creativity, and I have been implementing so many tips from this class. It is so good. One of the biggest takeaways was mapping out sections for different business tasks inside of a room. This I've been doing in my craft room where I have, my work on my computer area, I have my filming area, I have my closet with all my materials in it, and I even have my own little crochet corner in here. And this is something that I hadn't really thought of before taking this class, and it's so nice to have these zones in my workspace so that when I sit down in that zone, I actually feel productive in whatever it is I'm supposed to be working on. If you haven't heard of Skillshare yet, you are in for a treat. I'm obsessed with Skillshare. Skillshare is the ultimate online learning community for creatives like us. They offer thousands of classes and they're even led by industry professionals across various fields. They've got film, illustration, design, freelancing, and my personal favorite is productivity. This summer, you may want to invest in yourself and your goals by starting a learning journey on Skillshare to take your career, skills, side hustle, or your crochet business to the next level. I told you I'm really into these productivity classes, and Ali Abdal is one of my all-time favorite Skillshare instructors. He is so good, and I'm super excited to check out this one from him next, Productivity for Creators, Systems, Organization, and Workflow from Ali Abdal. His classes have been such a game changer for me for getting more done in my business, and I feel like this is just the perfect next step as I have a clean, fresh craft room to work in to now start organizing my creative flows as well. But here is the best part. If you are interested in trying out Skillshare today, I have a super exciting special offer for you. The first 500 people to use my link will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Join me on Skillshare and become a member of this awesome community by clicking my special link in the description box down below. Thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video, and let's jump right back into tip number 3. Tip number 3 is to create your own container store, which, I have mine right here actually. Once you're done organizing all of your stuff, you are going to be so surprised with how many leftover containers you have, because if you're anything like me, I just have a bunch of random things like this for craft supplies, and I ended up being able to fit a lot of my stuff in different containers, and now I have a lot of leftover ones in here. So I would suggest putting all of the smaller ones in a bigger container like this and having your own little container store. I'm going to be keeping this in a closet, not my really pretty and organized closet, a different closet. So I can actually use these for anything in my house now. But Michaela actually said it's really nice to have extra containers because, let's be real, as crafters, we are always accumulating more things. We're always getting more yarn, more tools, all the things. And it's really nice to have these containers that we can grab from our own little container store that we can snag from and continue keeping things organized in our room. So she was actually really happy that I was left over with a lot of extra containers, because at first I was like, wait, something is wrong. And she says, no, this is completely normal to have leftovers because we're condensing everything and we're getting it organized, and it actually fits much better in all my drawers now. So now I have a bunch of extra containers that I can use when I, inevitably buy more crochet things, because, it happens all the time. So as you're organizing your craft space, if you come up with a bunch of extra containers, there's some that honestly I think I may get rid of some of these just because I haven't used them. But for the ones like this one I've used a lot in the past, I just don't know what to put in it right now, and I know in the future this will do something for something that I buy. So definitely keep those containers organized somewhere and keep them easy to use, so as you buy more stuff, you can keep your space organized and prevent it getting chaotic and overwhelming, like what happens to me every couple months when I just get more stuff and then I shove it in random closets. Instead, have a space where you can organize it as it comes into your space. Tip number 4 is to prioritize accessibility. So what I mean by this is whatever you use most often, have it closest and easiest to get to, and whatever you use least often, have it as far away as possible in your space and the hardest to get to, I guess. It sounds obvious, but honestly, my space, I was not doing that. It felt like there was just stuff all over the place, and I had have things in my drawers that I was never using or rarely using that ended up going into baskets that ended up being in like the top shelf of my closet where I've got to get on a stepping stool to get to, but I don't use them very often. So why are they taking up this precious space in the drawers that I want to be able to look at my drawers and use all of these things that I use every single day? So for me, I had to prioritize things in 3 different categories. Things that I use pretty much daily or all the time. Things that I use sometimes, but not all the time. And honestly, it was funny because Michaela was like, how often do you use these tags? And I go, I use them in batches. And she's like, what does that mean? And I go, oh, okay. Well, I will sit down and use them for like 2 days, a lot. And then I won't use them again for like 2 months. And she goes, okay, you don't need that in your main room because that can be somewhere easy to get to in your closet. When you need them, you can go grab them, but you don't need them out here in your main stuff if you're only using them every couple months, like, and you're sitting down using a bunch of them. For example, like tagging, I go through and tag a lot all at once. So anyways, I had used all the time or almost daily. Use sometimes or, I use them, but not all the time, or use them in batches like that. And then there's things that I like rarely need to use or I just like to have. It's like, I'm a hoarder, okay? Just things that I'm like, okay, I'm not getting rid of this. Maybe some sentimental things. All that can go in buckets and baskets and go up high in my closet. And then those things that I use sometimes are in my closet and they're easy to get to and they're organized. And then things that I use almost daily or at least weekly are out here in my drawers. They're organized. And oh my gosh, it feels so good because now when I'm in this space, in this room, feels like everything in here is intentional and everything that is in here is stuff that I'm going to use, I'm going to need, and I know exactly where to find it. And there's not things that I don't use very often that are in the way of helping me find it or putting it back away and all the things. So for you in your craft space, I would highly recommend to start prioritizing things in what things you use all the time, what things you use sometimes, and what things you use very rarely. And in my space, that is how it wound up. If I was still in my studio apartment where I had my table, then the things on my desk are the things that I use every day. The things that are tucked away in the drawers underneath the desk are going to be the things that I use sometimes. And then the things that were in my other closet up on the very top shelf are the things that I rarely need to use. So whatever your space looks like, you may not have a closet, you may have 7 closets, it doesn't matter. The same principles apply as far as prioritizing and having those things accessible, those things that you use daily, really, really handy and close by, okay? Okay, I've got a bonus tip for you because, okay, let's be real. I love things being functional, yes, but they need to be pretty. They need to be aesthetic for me. What I was doing before is I have all these different containers that I have accumulated from Target, from Home Goods, from a dollar store, all these places. And I have all these different like small containers that I put a bunch of my stuff in. Michaela, what she helped me with is she said for each drawer, those containers should be consistent, like the same type of container, same color, same height, and all of those things. I mean, they can be different like widths, I guess, like there can be some longer ones and then there can be some square ones. So what she said is as long as this drawer itself is consistent, then the drawer underneath it can be consistent again, but with a different type of container, organizing all of it, if that makes sense. Like I have some that are pink, and so one of my drawers has a bunch of those pink containers, and then I have some that are more clear. I got it from the dollar store, and all of those are all in the next drawer. And so each drawer itself feels really aesthetic and really cohesive, and there's no mixing and matching of the different types of containers that are organizing my stuff in each drawer, if that makes sense. But anyways, that tip is for my friends who want to have it really pretty, really aesthetic, and honestly, it is more functional because if you have things that are at different heights, sometimes things can get caught and stuck and just doesn't fit quite right. So if you can keep it as consistent as possible as far as those drawer organizers go in each drawer, then it's just gonna be so much easier to find what you need, and it's also just gonna look a lot prettier. So if you're like me and you accumulate all these different types of containers, sometimes I even just get something in a box. I'm like, this is a nice box. I could use this to organize in. You can start grabbing things like that and start sectioning them in similar container heights, colors, all the things, so that when you go to organize your drawers, you know that, okay, this drawer, it's gonna look consistent within this one drawer. I hope that makes sense. I hope that's helpful. I'll put some some visuals on the screen for you as well, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. And also, if you want to just start completely fresh and want to just have all the same drawer organizers everywhere you go in your whole space, I totally get it. I mean, I would probably go to the dollar store or to Target because those are the two most affordable for the best. I mean, the dollar store actually has some pretty good quality little organizers, and I really like those ones from Target as well. You get quite a bit for a pretty good deal. So yeah, definitely check those ones out if you really are like, I need this, I don't have these yet, or just want it to be completely consistent. I seriously cannot wait for you to implement these tips in your craft space as well. And you know what? Sometimes we get super excited and it will overwhelm us when we look at our space. We're like, oh my gosh, there's so much to do. Just remind yourself that even 10 minutes a day working on organizing your space is going to add up to really big results. So keep plugging away at your space, keep trying to organize it, make it more efficient, and that will end up getting you in this better space to create more and just stay more organized and less overwhelmed, and you'll get there. I mean, for me, I had to hire somebody to help me. That's how overwhelmed I was, and I'm still not completely at the point of where I feel like it's perfect. I'm always going to be plugging away and continuing to organize and make it more efficient in here, but I hope today's video was helpful, and I hope you're feeling inspired to take action in your craft space as well. And if you want to keep hanging out with me on YouTube, I would love to keep hanging out with you. I have a yarn organizing video. I think you're really gonna love it, and I'm gonna send you to this video right here to check it out, and I'll see you, my friend, in this video right here. Bye!